Hello, everyone. Big welcome to today's presentation. Learn how to create your own GIS dashboard using Esri ArcGIS. Thank you all for taking time in your day to join us. Now, before we start, just some quick housekeeping items. First one is please remember to keep your phone on mute, and it won't be necessary to share your camera. I know many of us are kind of getting in the habit of that right now. Also, please keep an eye out on the chat window for a survey and poll, which can also be used for your questions. Now, towards the end of the presentation is when we will take your questions. All right, let me start introductions. So this is Jesse Gonzalez, State and Local Government Account Manager at Esri. I am pleased to be introducing Taborda Solutions, which has been a great addition to the Esri partner ecosystem. Taborda and Esri have success working together in support of state government primarily, but I'm now excited about Taborda now expanding its ArcGIS footprint and other specialties with local government. Let's talk about today's session. ArcGIS dashboards are readily available to use for Esri customers, as many of you know. This has been an emerging pattern of use in government altogether since its deployment, with ready-to-use authoritative data for content and with the ability to rapidly deploy. These are some of the reasons why Johns Hopkins University's COVID-19 dashboard has gone viral. With that, please allow me to introduce Shital Dhakal with Taborda Solutions to show you how you too can create a dashboard. Shital, take it away.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the webinar. Thank you so much for being here. Like Jesse said, my name is Shital Dhakal. Let me introduce myself. I am the practice lead and senior GIS consultant for Taborda Solutions. We are headquartered just out of Sacramento in Roseville, California, and provide IT consulting and resale services to local and state governments. We are an Esri Silver partner and also an aggregator of Esri software for the state of California. In addition to our GIS, our other major focus areas are cloud, IT, security, Microsoft, and workflow automation. Now, these are all the topics that I think we'll be covering as time permits today. We will quickly talk about an introduction to dashboard, what it is, how ArcGIS Dashboard is very similar to other kind of dashboard that you might be used to in your daily life. We will then talk about some real use cases of ArcGIS Dashboard. Then we'll swiftly move on to talk about some of the functionalities that you get with Dashboard, and not only functionalities, but what other features that you can play with, you can add onto your dashboard experience. After that, we'll switch gear a little bit and go to our live demo. Firstly, we'll start exploring some of the samples that I think have done a pretty good job of displaying data on their dashboard, Johns Hopkins being one of them. Then for 15 minutes or so, we will be providing a demo of how you can create your own dashboard. It's going to be a demo for almost 15 to 20 minutes, and hopefully you will learn to bring your data into ArcGIS Online, then configure and design your own dashboard and make them interactive. After that, we will close up with some data sources and some ideas that you can take home to create your own dashboard. And finally, we'll wrap up with any questions that you might have, and we'll try to answer them. I believe you are listening to me properly, and also looking at the slides that I have in here. Let me get started with a poll that I have for you here. And this will really help us to understand your level of expertise with ArcGIS Online and modify the subsequent content accordingly. If you use ArcGIS Online regularly, please vote on option A, and you can have the poll, the polling option in the Teams chat on your right. If you use ArcGIS Online regularly, please vote for A. If you've been exposed to it, use ArcGIS Online a little bit, but do not have a ton of idea about it, please vote for B. If you have heard about ArcGIS Online but haven't gotten an opportunity to use it, please go for option C. And if you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, please go with option D. We'll give folks just about 30 seconds to wrap up the poll, and I'll be back. So you should be getting, if you just scroll the chat window, there is an actual poll that you can answer. It's on the top. You might have to scroll a little bit.
The poll answer is giving an error.
All right, no worries. I see A and B being, and we have some C also. That's all right. So that kind of provides us with the idea. So it looks like the majority of us here have either used ArcGIS Online regularly or have been exposed a little bit. So I think that's a fairly good expertise label that I think you'll have a thing or two to learn. If you've never been exposed to ArcGIS Online, that's fine too. I hope you would find the presentation very engaging. So let's start with the concept of a dashboard, right? A very good example of dashboard is a dashboard in your car. Essentially, it is just a view of data that helps you monitor events or activities. The dashboard in your car, it provides information about the instrumentation and controls of the vehicle operation. By just putting a glance, you can understand the tire pressure in your car, the gas level in your car, if you or your fellow passengers are wearing seat belts or not, right? All this information you can understand in just a glance. And that's the idea behind ArcGIS dashboards as well. It provides key insights to the data on a single screen with minimum click. All relevant information can be seen on a single screen, facilitating understanding quickly and easily. The other neat feature of dashboard is it's available out of the box, so you can configure the templates easily with no programming or coding experience required. Finally, the ArcGIS dashboard is available in two flavors. It's available with your ArcGIS Online. It's shipped with your ArcGIS Online license. It's also available with your ArcGIS Enterprise. So if you have either ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise, you have access to ArcGIS Dashboard. Now let's talk a little bit about how dashboards are being used around us. As I have already told you, ArcGIS Dashboard can be used to make decisions, visualize trends, monitor status in real time, and inform the communities. It can be used to monitor and manage operations and assets, for event management, to summarize data or performance, and even to display real-time data. In the subsequent slides, I want to share with you some of the examples of how dashboard can be used in practical cases. Now, some of these dashboards that I'm going to present have real data, and some of them have made up data. But all in all, the idea is to know how dashboard is being used around us. The first one I want to start with is the dashboard from World Health Organization. With the current COVID-19 situation across the world, there's been proliferation of coronavirus themed dashboard emerging over the last few months in ArcGIS Online, right? And many of these were created using ArcGIS Dashboard configurable templates. This particular dashboard, though, enables users to understand location-based information and the impact of coronavirus across the globe. The second example that I have for you here is a dashboard that displays information about survey results for utility assets that need to be repaired. Now, while field crew can use mobile devices and they can use applications like Collector, Survey 123, Quick Capture, supervisors and managers are able to use this dashboard to assign work order and monitor progress, right? The other example I have here is from URISA's GIS Core. This dashboard shows wait times in grocery store using crowdsourced information. This shows traffic at grocery stores and the best timing for safe distance measures when shopping. A really good use of crowdsourcing and dashboard technology. Here's a right-of-way dashboard that can be used by public works executives to monitor the status of right-of-way permits in their community. Now, the idea here is I don't want to throw all this dashboard to your face if you have never seen a dashboard, but all I'm trying to do here is get you acquainted with some of the good examples of how dashboard can be used in your organization and outside of it. The next one I have from Kentucky. This dashboard is used to communicate water and wastewater infrastructure funding for the short and long-term needs. I also have a dashboard for opioid crisis. Now, many communities across the nation are impacted by opioid crisis, right? This dashboard view helps predicts where EMS calls could take place and help authorities to respond better based on historical data. Finally, I think this is the last one that I have here. This dashboard provides information to general public and other interested parties about the capital improvement projects that are under construction in the neighborhood. It provides budget status and the time frame in which the work will take place. There is a map, there are a ton of information here, and you can also consume, the citizens, they can also consume the details about the project and see if the project is on budget or not. So the whole idea behind all of these examples are that ArcGIS Dashboard is this one-stop shop where you can bring in data from all these different sources and display it in one screen. Now the information, like I said, can come from field apps. The information can come from collector, survey 123, quick capture, any of other Esri's field apps. Or the information can come from your GIS server, your ArcGIS Online, or GIS server from third party. Doesn't matter where the information resides. If you have access to the information and if you can bring that into the ArcGIS platform, you can display those information in the dashboard. You might also have real-time data in GeoEvent server. Now, this real-time data can be sensor data, social media posts, GPS locations, AVL information. All of these real-time data through GeoEvent server, which is another offering of Esri, you can bring all those data and again display it in dashboard. So there are multiple ways of how you can bring in the data, and dashboard is the one solution to consume all those information. Now, let's talk a little bit about the workflow you require to create a dashboard. First, you need data, right? You need authoritative data. Maybe the data is in your organization or you are getting it from a third party. It doesn't matter. The first thing to start is data. And once you have the data, you would create a web layer with the information. Now, how would you go about creating web layer from data is out of scope for today's seminar. Maybe we can do a follow-up to this wherein we'll talk about how to create web layer from data. But once you have web layer, maybe your own web layer or web layer that you found in the web, you can create a web map. In just a minute, we'll talk about how to create a web map from web layer. But once you have web map, you can use the ArcGIS Dashboard Experience Builder and create a dashboard out of the web map that you already have. So that's the workflow we'll be following today, not the first part, but the second and the third part. All right, let's talk about the ingredients that are required to create a dashboard. First and foremost, you need ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise license. Yes, you can also access or create an ArcGIS Online public license, but ArcGIS Online public license cannot author dashboard unless you are a member of ArcGIS Online organization. So once you have the license for either online or enterprise, the next thing you need is data. And once you have the data, you would go on to create web map, and with a good web map, you can create a good dashboard. Let's talk about what do you really get from ArcGIS Dashboard. These are all the elements that you get. An ArcGIS Dashboard can provide you with site panel, map, legend, serial chart, indicator, gaze, list, details, rich text, and embedded content. But the thing to realize here, to understand, is you really don't have to use all these elements in your dashboard. You can just pick and choose those elements that you think make sense for your dashboard and just stick with it, right? And also, Esri puts a ton of resources updating and making the dashboard experience better. So I think they come up with 4 updates every year. So chances are when you look at dashboard in 4 months from now, you might have different elements. So just so that you know, the elements keep changing and there are more addition and more update to the elements. But these are the elements that are available right now. Other functionalities available in dashboard are theme. You can change the theme of the dashboard, the look and feel of it. You can have your layers either turned off or turned on. You can also have bookmark. there is a very robust search functionality available in Dashboard. You can filter layers. I'll show you how to filter information in Dashboard just in a second. And there is also something called layer actions, which is a really powerful tool. I think we'll talk about that also in our demo. So with that, I just want to switch gear a little bit and show you some of the dashboard that are live out there. Let's play around with the dashboard a little bit, and then we'll start creating our own dashboard. So let me just go to my browser right here. And let me just start with the dashboard from Taborda Solutions. Now, this dashboard, as you can see, let me do this and maybe open a okay, so we'll just stick with this one. So this is the dashboard from Taborda Solutions. As you can see, we have confirmed cases, recovered cases, and deaths in the United States. And there are also, okay, my apology. This is not the dashboard I really wanted to show here. I have a ton of dashboard open in my browser. My apology. This is the one that I really wanted to highlight. Okay. So as you can see here, we have cases in the United States, deaths and cases in California, world cases. But not only that, we also have county level information on the web map. And you can actually click on these dots right here and get more information on how the COVID situation is in the particular county. There is also a web map for testing locations. So, and the data comes from GIS Core. So if you're interested in the testing locations in your area, you can browse this web map and look at the information that you are that you're looking for, right? You can just click on this little icon here and get information about the testing location. Now, if you remember, I talked about layer action in my previous slide. So if you notice, here I am looking in Reading, right? And as I zoom into Reading, when I go back to my confirmed cases map, this map also focuses on Reading, meaning the confirmed cases map and testing location map, they are talking to each other. That's a very good example of layer action that we'll also talk about in our demo. We also have information about hospitals. You can click on the hospital in your area and understand the number of beds, what kind of health facility it is. And there are other information about stats for seniors and vulnerable population. Finally, the dashboard also has a live Twitter feed from CDC and also the website. So at a glance, you can not only have the information for the cases in the United States, but you can also browse the Twitter feed for CDC. So that was the first example that I wanted to demonstrate here. The second one I want to talk about is the one from Johns Hopkins University. And this is the dashboard that Jesse was talking about. If you haven't seen this, chances are you have seen this application in the mainstream media already. This is in real sense a viral dashboard. There has been more than 1 billion views of this dashboard already. And this application processes more than 1,000 requests every second. So a really popular dashboard. It has information from all around the world, and you can actually interact with this web map, with this dashboard. What I really mean by that is, so if I'm interested in cases for France, I can click on France, and the web map zooms into France. And not only that, you can see the information is reflective in the graph and all these indicators as well. So if I click in Iran, it zooms into Iran and also provides me information about the confirmed cases and total deaths. So a very interactive dashboard. I can spend hours explaining all the features in this dashboard, but we're gonna leave it at that. Let's move on to the other dashboard that I have from Sacramento County. This dashboard provides confirmed cases for categorized into all the zip code and also categorized by race, ethnicity, by sex, and by age group. On the map here, you can see the zip code that has the maximum number of confirmed cases is highlighted in dark color, and any zip code that has less confirmed cases is highlighted in somewhat light color. So a lot of information right here. The other dashboard, and one of my favorite here, is from Walmart. So in this dashboard, you can not only see all the Walmart stores all around the country, but also understand or look at the numbers of the store that have grocery delivery available or online grocery pickup available, right? And the store that have pharmacy open. You can also click in this little icon here and get more information about the store that you're interested in. And there are varieties of other parameters that you can play with to narrow down your search and get the information that you are really looking for. Finally, this dashboard is from Colorado Department of Transportation. And this is not a COVID dashboard, but I just wanted to highlight it here because it's a really well-made dashboard. And it not only has information, but it also has real-time video clip from the highways. You can click on the video cameras name, and you can see the videos they change right here. And you can also interact with this bar chart here. They are really interactive. You can click on this, and you can see the information changes in the graph and in the map as well. Now, if I'm interested in the jam, I can do that. So all in all, this is a very good example of how you can display the information in your organization, all of the information in your organization in a very easily digestible form. So hopefully all these samples, all the examples were helpful and would lead you in the direction of thinking, hey, how can I create a dashboard in my organization? And if you're already thinking that, I think it's a good time to start the demo. For next 15 minutes or so, we'll be building our own dashboard. You are welcome to follow along if you have the license, if you really want to do it. If not, we'll be sharing this information, the slide, in the emails, and you can follow along then. So with that, let me get started. Now, for those of you who have never been exposed to ArcGIS Online, this is how it looks like. This is my content from ArcGIS Online. ArcGIS Online is a SaaS offering from Esri. It's a software as a service offering from Esri. What that really means, essentially, is Esri takes care of the maintenance of this platform. So you don't have to install anything in your computer. This is how the My Content looks like in your ArcGIS Online, but I really want to go to my map. This is the map viewer. This is where you go to create your web map. If you remember my slide, you first create your web map, and then you go on to your dashboard experience to create a dashboard. So I will start right from here, and I would add information, my data, and start creating dashboard right from this map viewer. But I don't have my data, right? Maybe I don't have any COVID data in my organization, because that's what I'm going to create today, create a dashboard about COVID situation, but I don't have data. So the way to get started here is, let's go back to the Johns Hopkins dashboard. And right here on the sidebar, where they have information about the dashboard, there is a link that says feature layer, click here. So let me click on the feature layer link. And this takes me to ArcGIS Online, Johns Hopkins ArcGIS Online interface. There's information about the layer, the kind of data that are available, the owner of the layer. And not only that, they also have a URL available for us to grab and put it on top of our web map. So I'm going to copy the URL, go back to my web map, and add the information here. The way to do that is go to the add button here. And there are numerous ways of adding data, right? If you have data inside your organization, you can just search for the layers for the data. But if you don't have the data, and if you wanna browse it in the internet, a good place to start is Living Atlas. That's again another offering from Esri. There are a ton of information available in Living Atlas. Some are subscription based, some are free to use, but I would go there to start my search. But for now, for our webinar, we are going to add layer from web. And this is where I will put or paste the information that I just copied from Johns Hopkins ArcGIS interface. So I'm going to put the URL right here and add the layer. And like that, I have all this information in my web map ready to use. Now I should probably share this information right here. Things like symbology, things like the information that you query from the web map, they are going to be inherited to the dashboard. So any change to things like symbology, or if you want to filter out the data, this might be a good place to do it before you move on to creating your dashboard. So the first thing I'm going to do here is maybe I don't like these big bubbles, right? The big circles. I think they look my map, I don't know, more scary. So I don't want to make my web map as scary as this. So maybe I want to decrease the radius of the circle and maybe give it a different color. So I want to do that. But even before I do that, let's find out what layer has this symbology. So let's check the depth layer here. And as you can see, when I do that, this cross symbol, it disappears. So that's the depth layer. The second is the cases layer, and this the red circles are really coming from the second layer. And then there is this third layer, which I don't think there's any symbology. So I'm gonna have the third layer and the first layer unchecked and just check and turn on the second layer. I am quite curious as to what data does this layer really hold. And for me to see the data, I would just go to show table and see the kind of data that are available for me to use. Again, these are part of, so you would need a good understanding of ArcGIS Online to be able to know where all these buttons are, where all the functionalities are, but it's not very hard to learn. And maybe in the subsequent webinars, we can go through those introductions as well. For now, let's see, the second layer has all this information. It has information about province, state, and country, lat long, confirmed cases, recovered cases, so on and so forth. And as you might have noticed, I have information from all around the world. For this webinar, I want to stick with cases in United States only. So the first thing I want to do here is create a filter. So let's go to filter and let's go to country region is, and I'm going to say United States. What it does is it's going to filter out all the information but United States. So as you can see now, the filter has worked. I only have information from United States to work with. Perfect. The second thing, like I said, I want to decrease the radius of the circle. How would I do that? I would go to change style, go to options, go to symbols. And the first thing I want to do is maybe change the color. Let's go to fill, and instead of red, I want to give it orange. Go to OK, hit OK, and there you go. Just like that, you change the color of the bubbles of the circles. Again, let's go back to change style because I forgot to lower down the radius. And here where it says size, mean, and max, let's lower down this number and maybe 100. Sorry, 120. No, I'm gonna go with 75. Okay, so you can see the sizes have decreased, and now I'm gonna go to OK, done. And I'm quite happy with the size and the color of the circles. The final thing I want to change here is, as you can see, when I click on the circles, there are a ton of information in this pop-up menu. And I think some of these do not really make any sense to my users. Things like lat and long, I don't think my user would want to know the lat and long for this circle. So what I can do is I can go to more options here, go to configure pop-up, and then go to configure attributes and turn off lat, long, and maybe a couple of other attributes. I'm just going to uncheck them and hit OK, and when I click on the circle, there you go. Now I only have those information that I think are useful to my users. All right, I think I'm ready to save my web map. Just one little thing here, and this is a good idea to take home. Now this information is being updated by Johns Hopkins, right? And they update this information maybe a couple times an hour. If you come back tomorrow, this data is gonna go up. So this is a dynamic layer. Somebody or the program or whatever they have in there, they are updating this number constantly. So for you to reflect that update in your web map, in your dashboard, you need to refresh the layer. And the way to do that is go to more options, go to refresh interval. And in here, you're going to say, hey, I want the web layer, the web map, the data to be refreshed every 15 minutes. Now, if you do this, your dashboard will not become stale. Otherwise, any update that are being pushed into the data will not be reflected into your dashboard, and you'd have to refresh, or your user would have to refresh the browser again and again. So a very good practice to have a refresh interval set right here. So I'm going to go with 15 minutes. I'll do the same thing with this layer as well. 15 minutes. And finally, I'm going to say 15 minutes. OK. Now I know my data will be updated every 15 minutes. I'm happy with the look and feel of the web map. I'm even happy with how the user can access more detailed information out of this. I'm going to save it. So I'm going to click on Save As, and let's give it a title, maybe COVID web map. And I'm going to give it a tag, maybe demo, and save it in the folder dashboard webinar and save map. All right. So once I save the web map, if I go back to content where it's empty, if I refresh my folder, you would see that the web map got saved here in the My Content page. So once I know my web map is saved, I want to create a dashboard. Now we are finally ready to move on to our dashboard builder and create a dashboard. There are a couple of ways to access your dashboard builder. One being right from here. You can go to your Launchpad and click on dashboard, and that would start creating the process of a dashboard. But I really like the second way, which is going to the share button right here, and then going to create a web app, and then going to ArcGIS Dashboard and creating a dashboard right from here. You can do either way. I just like this. So I'm going to call it COVID Dashboard. As you can see, the tag item that I provided on the web map has made its way into the dashboard. That's fine. I'm going to save it in the same folder, dashboard webinar, and I'm going to click on done. And just like that, it lands me on this dashboard builder. OK, so I have the web map. It has all the information that I curated in my initial step. What I want to do next, I probably want to add a base map switcher. As you can see, the background map that we have here is topographic map. And maybe my user want to change the topographic map into a satellite imagery or OpenStreetMap or any other kind of background map. I want to do that. The second thing I want to do is for the first time user, yes, you can zoom in, zoom out the map using your mouse wheel. But maybe for the first time user, they might want to have an interface here, maybe a button saying plus and minus sign so that they can click on the plus and minus sign and zoom in and zoom out the web map. So the way to do that is go in here and go to configure. On the configure menu, I'm going to turn on the zoom in, zoom out option, and I'm going to turn on the base map switcher option. Now, there are a ton of things that you can do here. For the sake of time, I'm just going to stick with 2 options, and I'm going to hit done. And there you go. You have a base map switcher right here. So the user, if they wanted to view aerial imagery, they would be able to do that. If they liked, say, OpenStreetMap, for example, they would have the option to do that. And there's also this zoom in plus sign and zoom out minus sign readily available for them. All right. So I am really loving the way my web map is coming out. Now let's add some more information to it. And in a real sense of word, that would be the dashboard, right? Because what we have right now is just a web map. So the way to create or add elements to your dashboard is going here on the plus sign. And there are all these elements that we talked about before that you can add to your dashboard. Let me start by adding header. And let me give it a title. So I'm going to say COVID-19 cases in United States. So I'm going to say that. I'm not going to bother adding subtitles or any of this, all this information. Let me just change the color to maybe this, and let's make it large and hit done, and there you go. So we have the header right here. The second element that I want to add here is indicator. So let's click on indicator, and this might be a good point to reinforce the idea that the layers that we had on our web map. So if you go back to the web map that we created just a second ago, let me open the web map. You can see we had 3 layers. We had 3 layers right here. Only the second layer was turned on and everything else was turned off. Although these layers were turned off in the web map, they made their way through the dashboard. So I can still interact with this layer and display the information that are in these layers, right? So the idea is you don't have to have the layer turned on for you to be able to consume them in the dashboard. All right. So for my use here, for my webinar, I'm gonna go with the third layer, and let's add a filter. So there are these parameters that you can play with. I want to display information only for United States. So I'm going to go to country region and create another filter. Please remember, on the web map, it was the second layer where I had created the filter. But now I'm going to create filter for the third layer. So here I have already created the filter. I want to display information about confirmed cases, for example. So I'd go to feature, and where it says value field, I am going to click on confirmed, and here you go. So that's the number of confirmed cases in the United States. Once I have that there, I am going to indicator and maybe add a bottom text. I'm going to say confirmed cases and maybe give it a color. All right. And then I'm going to general and add a text color right here. All right. That's looking good. I'm going to hit done. And that's my first indicator. Pretty easy to create, huh? All right, I want to do the same thing for recovered cases and maybe the death data as well. So I will follow the same steps here and add indicator. I'm going to go to the third layer, create a filter. So I'm going to say country, United States. Go to feature, and I'm going to say recovered. That's the number of recovered cases. I want to make it, I'm going to add some context to it. So maybe recovered cases and make it green. Go to general, do the same thing, make it look green. All right. So that's my second indicator. Finally, I want to add the third indicator, do the same step. Filter out any other data but United States. And there are other things that you can play with, but for now we are going to display feature and death, and that's a staggering number. So disheartening, but yeah. So that's the death number. I'm going to give it a red color. Going to give it red color, and there you go. I have my third indicator as well. Now, the cool thing about dashboard here is I can play around with the size of the indicators, right? I can really be mindful about the screen real estate in my computer and really play around with the indicators. The other thing I can do is I can drag these elements and put them on top of each other. I can anchor them as a row or stack them. on top of one another. For now, I'm going to put this at the bottom. Want to create this and drag it to the top. All right. And let's give it some appropriate size. Let's make recovered cases bigger. I want to make my map more optimistic. So, all right. So let's make that a little smaller. All right, there we go. So indicator looks good to me. Let's jump on to another element, which is list, for example. So what I want to do here is list all the 50 states and territories so that people can give a glance and know the number of cases in those states. Now for that, I am going to select second layer because I know the second layer, if I go to my web map, open the table, I know that the information is being curated or categorized by states and territories. So I am going with my second layer right here, and it's already been filtered. If you remember, we applied the filter right in the web map. So it's been filtered for me. All I'm going to do here is go to list, and there's this rich text editor. I want to say, hey, these are the state. So just want to add some context. And then I want to drop in the attribute province state. Now, how do I know all these attributes are there? First thing, this curly bracket, it tells you this is where you go to grab those attributes. And how do I know I had the province state attribute ready? This tells me that there is a attribute for province state, right? So I'm going to grab this attribute, province state, and that's what I did right here. The second thing maybe I want to add is cases, the number of cases, and I'm going to go to the curly bracket icon here and go to confirm cases. All right, so I have name of state and I have the number of cases. Maybe make cases look bold, maybe make state look bold, and let's give it a color. There you go. Okay, so I'm happy with how it's looking. Hit done, and you have the list right here. I'm gonna drag it and maybe add to the right. Give it its appropriate size, and there you go. So you have indicators and you have the list ready for you. But when I click on one of these states or any of this is not really interactive, right? At a glance, yes, you can tell New Mexico has 3,213 cases, but it's really not interactive. What I really want to do here is be able to click on New Mexico, and I want the web map to zoom into New Mexico and maybe provide me the information, right? Provide me like this information just by clicking here. So the way to do that is by going to configure again and going to actions. And if you remember, I talked about actions a couple of times before. It's a really powerful tool at your disposal. All you need to do is go to add action and say, hey, I want the map, and I'll add a target, and the map's going to be my target. I'm going to say, hey, I want, when you click in one of these lists, I want the map to be zoomed in. All right. I also want to add another action, which is maybe show pop-up, right? So when someone clicks on one of these states, I want the pop-up to be displayed automatically. So, okay, let's see if we are there yet. Let me click on Kansas, and there you go. The web map did zoom to Kansas, and yes, and we do have the pop-up right here, the detailed information. Let's see. Okay, Grand Princess. It has been categorized differently by Johns Hopkins. So it's, yeah, I think it's docked somewhere in the bay. So looks pretty accurate to me. And yeah, so that's looking good to me. Yeah, okay. So it's working fine. I'm happy with it. I think I don't want to add any more elements because I really want to be respective of the screen size, right? The screen real estate here. But you can grab any of these elements and play with it. But please be mindful that just because you have elements to use doesn't mean you really have to use them. I can go to pie chart and just go to one of these layer. I don't know what I'm doing here, but say I'm gonna go to country. I'm gonna say United States. And if I just go to category field and confirmed, let's see. Yes, I do get a pie chart, but it really doesn't convey any meaning. So I don't want to do that. But if you played around with all of these parameters, maybe you will be able to create a good looking pie chart that can really communicate some information to your user. So feel free to do that, right? All right, so I think I'm happy with how it's looking like. The other thing that I want to highlight here is, as you can see, my dashboard has this light theme, so everything is white. If I wanted to make it dark, I have the option to do so. I just have to go in here and click on dark, and like that, you have a dark theme available for you. Pretty easy to change, switch back between the themes. All right, so let's go with the dark theme for now, and let's save it. And once I save this dashboard, if I go back to my content page, the dashboard should appear here. There you go. So dashboard is available. Now I'm ready to share this with my users. So I can go here and grab the share link and share it with my users or the audiences. One last thing to be mindful about is you really want to check the sharing settings with your web map and dashboard. You might want to share it with your organization or maybe with everyone. But please be mindful about the sharing settings before you really send out the link. So with that, I think I have covered everything that I wanted to cover on this short demo. Hopefully that was very helpful. And before I go back to my few more slides, let me, as I promised, I'm going to talk about the resources that you can go to grab information and get started on your own dashboard. Now, Esri has done a tremendous job of putting together this GIS hub. There are a ton of information available here that you can just go in, grab the information, and start creating your own dashboard. A couple of data that I want to highlight here is one from Blue Dot and maybe the other from SafeGraph. So let's go to the SafeGraph first. This data has point of interest information. So all these symbols that you're looking at are point of interest, and they have foot traffic information for all these businesses and museums and POIs. So when I click on this random Wingstop, you not only have information about the point of interest, but you also have the population density or the people who visited the business. It's pretty handy, pretty powerful information about all these businesses, restaurants, personal care, automotive, grocery store, you name it. It's already there for you to grab and create a dashboard of your own. So just wanted to highlight that. The second one here that I wanted to highlight is from Blue Dot. And this information is actually providing you with the social distancing metrics. So if you click on any of this county, you can see they have information about how the county is faring with the social distancing guidelines. They compare it with a time frame like last week, and then they compare this week, and they provide a graph. So feel free to use this information and overlap with the information that you already have and create a dashboard of your own. And I just didn't have time to go through all of this, but there are, I first start my search from this page. I would go here, look for the data I'm looking for, search for the data I'm looking for, and start creating a dashboard. So I highly encourage you to visit this website. All right, so I think we are at the end of the demo and the slide. We just finished that. We covered demo. We also covered where to look for data. And finally, I want to talk about some best practices. The first one is to set appropriate refresh intervals. If you know your data is dynamic, if you know the data is coming from a third party, or even if it's coming from your own organization, and if it's a real-time data or data that gets updated all the time, please remember to set the refresh interval like we did. 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 day, however you want to do it, please don't forget to set a refresh interval. But if you think the data is not going to change much, say you are working with a layer for the states of the United States, like all the 50 states and territories, and you know they are not going to change much, you don't have to set the refresh intervals, right? The second thing here is to apply filters. Maybe you are working with hundreds of different layers and a ton of information that you think might be overwhelming to your user. You don't have to use all those informations. You can filter out the information that you think are not necessary from your web map, and then proceed forward creating the dashboard. The third thing is you can have your operational layers non-visible and yet use it on your dashboard, like the way we did. We had 3 layers and we turned off 2 layers. We only had 1 layer visible on our web map. You can absolutely do that with 50 different layers and just have the layer that you want to display on your web map, have everything turned off, and you'll be able to use them, consume those data on the dashboard also. Don't forget to provide context. Your data is only as good as the context that you provide. I have provided a good example here. Just by looking at data or the numbers, you can't really tell what that is unless you provide total cases. The cases in the past 4 days are total recovered. So don't shy away from providing context to your data. The other best practice that I want to mention here is if you are creating dashboard for mobile view, please start from scratch. Please create a new dashboard altogether, because the screen real estate in mobile is going to be very different than your computer. So maybe all the information that you have in your dashboard, you might not want to display all those information. Maybe you just want to go with some subset of the information, right? So in that case, start over, create a new mobile view for your dashboard. And finally, double check the sharing settings. There have been cases, even with me, where I have shared the link with my user and only to find out they can't access it because I hadn't used the proper sharing settings on my web map. So make sure that you have the proper sharing settings. Maybe you only want to share the dashboard inside your organization. In that case, you don't want to make it public. So please be mindful of that. With that, I think this is the last slide I have. Just wanted to wrap up with some concluding remarks. Hopefully, you got the point that dashboard provides operational view of people, services, assets, and events, and it's really pretty easy to create one. There are templates available. It's just drag and drop, what you see, what you get kind of arrangement. So no programming necessary. You can create a dashboard of your own. And the audience can be anyone. It can be your supervisor, it can be your colleagues, or it can be citizens. You can create a dashboard for anyone you think would need to have those information. If you need any help, please reach out to us. In the slide after this, I'm gonna put in my contact information. Don't forget, don't feel shy to get in touch with us. We would be happy to help in any ways we can, right? After the webinar, our marketing team will get in touch with you with a short survey. Please fill out the information that will help us decide on what topic to choose from for the next webinar that we'll be conducting. Subsequently, we'll have more webinars coming your way. Please sign up for the future webinars and provide us feedback, any feedback that you might have. With that, I just want to open the floor. Here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out and yeah, put in any questions that you have in the Teams chat, and me and Jesse will try our best to answer those. Okay, so is this an example of the new beta dashboard, or is the original dashboard? So this is the original dashboard. you might know it used to be called Operational Dashboard, right? And now it has been rebranded to ArcGIS Dashboard. So this was an example of ArcGIS Dashboard. There's another beta dashboard that's coming. It has more features than ArcGIS Dashboard, but if you know how to create a dashboard in ArcGIS Dashboard, the new dashboard, you can absolutely create a dashboard. The experience is pretty much the same. It has much more feature than what we have already. Can you get embedded code for any of the widgets to embed certain elements on a website? You can absolutely do that. And let me go back to my browser. So on the dashboard here, there are things like embedded content. So you can go in here and embed anything that you want to, right? So, and that's how the Twitter feed was created using the embedded content. Yes, the new beta is out and free to everyone. That's correct. The way to access that is to go to Launchpad again and go to Dashboards beta. And like I said, the experience is pretty much the same. It has more features than we had before. Can you send us the recording? Sure. Yeah, our marketing team will reach out to you with a slide and with a video of this demo. All right, I think we are just on time. Thank you everyone for attending the webinar. Jesse, do you have anything to wrap up with? All right. Thank you everyone for joining us in this webinar. This is the first webinar in the series. With your feedback, we'll be conducting more webinars in the future. And I'm really privileged to have the opportunity to share the information with you. Please stay tuned for subsequent webinars in the future. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Stay safe.
Shital.
Bye. Hey, Jesse, you want to add something?
Thank you, Shital. That was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for your help. Bye, everyone.